वांछा कल्पतरु भयश्च कृपा सिंधुभैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा दामोदर भगवान की जय। जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी की जय। सीताराम लक्ष्मण हनुमान की जय। श्री श्री गौनिताय की जय। लक्ष्मी नृसिंहदेव भगवान की जय। गिरिराज गोवर्धन की जय। तुलसी महारानी की जय। जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। इस्कॉन वर्तमान गुरु वृंद की जय। हिज होलीनेस जय पताका स्वामी गुरु महाराज की जय। थैंक यू सो मच. So even last time I wanted to speak, but I don't know, something or the other came up, and every time that I'm planning class for your yatra, something comes up, and this time I was down with fever, throat infection. I'm on antibiotic, but today is the 5th day. I'm feeling much better. I'm okay now. And I don't know, it's Lord's arrangement. Till yesterday I wasn't able to speak. I was not able to open my mouth also. And I thought, if again I postponed or cancel this class, what will what will the devotees at Birmingham think? But somehow Krishna's arrangement, by evening I was okay. Today morning I also gave another Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya class, and I'm okay. So, coming to today's topic, very, very interesting topic. This is a very, very interesting topic that we have taken up today. Bhishma Stuti, the prayers of Bhismadeva. There are many stutis in Srimad Bhagavatam by Prahlad Maharaj, by Dhruva Maharaj, by Bhishmadev, Kunti Devi, by Nagakanyas, by Akrura, by Sukadev Goswami, by Gajendra, by the demigods, and so on and so forth. But this particular stuti is very, very special because the goal of our life is to go back home, back to Godhead. And for the same, Krishna has already given us a roadmap. He says, Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi yuktavaivam atmana madparayana. Just think about me and invest your thinking, feeling, willing on me. Bow down to me. Be matparayan, worship me, and that way you can come back to me. So, okay, we understand that we have to somehow or the other invest our feelings into Krishna. We have to think about Krishna. But how to do it is practically demonstrated here by Bhismadeva. Every devotee's goal is that we should be able to pass that final exam where we remember Krishna prayana kale, anta samay, when we are leaving this body. And Bhishmadev scored well. He did it. I mean, we are just singing Jagannatha Swami, Nayana Pathagami Bhavatumi. Oh Lord Jagannath, be in the path of my vision. But Bhishmadev was actually successful, in getting that vision. At the time of his death, the Lord was standing face to face, and Bhishmadev saw the beautiful face of the smiling face of the Lord, and he left his body. So, this 18,000 verses in Bhagavatam are about what a dying man should do and what's the goal of our life. But Bhishma Stuti is just 11 verse which practically demonstrates how to do it and gives the essence of whole Bhagavatam, because the whole essence is Jeno Teno Prakarena. Somehow remember Krishna. Krishna should be in our consciousness, and our consciousness should be filled with Krishna. Always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna, and Bhishma did it. He successfully did it. So what we are going to do now is we will recite those verses recited by Bhishma, and we will see how very systematically he immerses himself in remembrance of the Lord, and he also takes us through the beautiful pastimes and forms and devotees of the Lord, and teaches us how, in what way should we think about the Lord, how should we meditate on the Lord. Of course, given choice, this being one of my favorite subjects or chapter in Srimad Bhagavatam, I would like to analyze and each and every verse and every word in the verse and every letter in that word, but I'm not going to do that today, because if we do that today, we can never even begin the Bhishma Stuti. So what we are going to do today is something like a synopsis. So I'm going to run through those verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 9, where this Bhishma Stuti comes. And just a little, we will touch the preface, give you a little bit background, like an appetizer before we actually start the main course. Something like, before dipping into that pot of nectar of Bhishma Stuti, we will just touch a little bit, of the background, and then very quickly we will go to those 11 verses and successfully try to complete in brief Bhishma Stuti in another hour or so. So we will start like this. So it all begins, actually Bhishma Stuti begins in chapter 9, but a very famous acharya called Vijay Dhwaja, in the line of Madhvacharya, he says actually Bhishma Stuti has begun, or rather Bhishma has come in Srimad Bhagavatam by chapter 8 itself. So he says that it all starts from Canto 1, chapter 8, verse number 46, just after Kunti Devi's prayers are over. So the story goes like this, in very, very briefly, how there is this war of Kurukshetra and how the Pandavas are victorious, and then how Krishna is very happy to see his devotees are now settled. Everything is wonderful. So Krishna is on his chariot and he's about to leave back home to Dwarika, and then all are bidding farewell, and at that time Uttara comes running, and then she complains about feeling a heat, and Krishna understands it's Ashwathama's arrow, and he saves Parikshit Maharaj in Uttara's womb, and then Kunti Devi recites beautiful prayers, and then being enarmed by beautiful recitation of his pure devotee Kunti Devi, who is requesting Lord not to go and spend some more time with them, he again dismounts. He comes down from the chariot and enters into the palace, and he's again giving the Pandavas some association, and there's where the story begins. Our story begins, something which we have to do with today, where Yudhishthir starts complaining, or rather I should use the word crying. He's feeling very sad. He's blaming himself for all the massacre that happened. So many people died, so many ladies became widows, so many children are orphaned, and I am the reason for all this. So he's blaming himself. I'm such a sinful person. The soldiers, the gatekeepers at hell are waiting for me. The moment I leave this body, they're going to give me a red carpet welcome inside the hell for all these atrocities that I have committed. I'm a sinful person. And then everybody is trying to give him a pep talk, or there is a seminar going on in the morning and afternoon and evening, and with herbal tea in between, some break, and they're just trying to convince him, but he's not convinced. And finally so this verse starts here, where this thought has come in Yudhishthir's mind, and here a very beautiful word is used for Krishna. It says, Krishna Adbhuta Karmana, the one who is performer of superhuman feats. And somebody may think now the talk is going on about how to convince Yudhishthir. How come Krishna is glorified in this way, saying that he is a performer of superhuman feats? That means somebody who is a supreme personality of Godhead, and who convinced Arjuna to fight by reciting the whole 700 slokas in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Why couldn't he convince Yudhishthir? So looks like he has a divine plan, something inside his mind. This is all his plan, because Yudhishthir is not getting convinced. And we know Matta Smriti smriti gnana apohanam cha. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita 15th chapter, he gives the memory, he gives the forgetfulness. So if he wants, he can just change Yudhishthira's mind, but he is not changing. So looks like he has a divine plan. That means Bhishma has entered Krishna's mind right here in this verse. He's already thinking about doing something in such a way that Yudhishthira will not be convinced, and finally Krishna says, okay, since Yudhishthira is not convinced, let's all go to Bhishma. Let's all go there to the battlefield of Kurukshetra where Bhishma is lying on the bed of arrows, and let's ask the grandsire to convince Yudhishthira. So this is how the story unfolds, and finally they all decide to go to the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So these verses go like this, from 46 verse onwards to 47 verse, 48. They're just talking about how Yudhishthira is overwhelmed by the death of his friends and his relatives, and how they're all trying to convince him, but he's not getting convinced. And finally Krishna suggests that, let us go to Bhishma. And then starts this chapter 9, the passing away of Bhismadeva, where Sutta Goswami begins saying that Bhismadeva is lying on the bed of arrows about to pass away, and these Pandavas, they enter. They are all on beautiful chariots. They're looking very handsome. They're all decked up, nice jewelry. And then the acharyas comment on this, that how purposely Krishna made sure that they all look nice and fresh and with lots of jewels, so that the grandsire Bhishma is satisfied that yes, my grandchildren are now well settled and they are happy. And then the verses go explaining how they were looking like Kuvera because they were all dressed so beautifully. And then when they saw Bhishma lying there on the bed of the arrows, you can all actually take up your Canto 1, chapter 9, and you can keep, I'm just going to go verse by verse and complete this whole chapter. And then Bhishma is lying there like a demigod fallen from the sky, and the Pandavas, they bow down to him. And then they see that along with Pandavas, many of them come there from different planetary systems, from Atal, Sutal, Talatal, and from the upper lokas also, from Satyaloka, Janaloka, Maharloka, Tapaloka, all of them, lot of saints and sadhus and all, they all assemble here because they all get message, by maybe some WhatsApp group, I don't know what, that Bhishma is here on in the bed of arrows, and Pandavas have arrived there with Lord Shri Krishna, and now Bhishma, the pure devotee of the Lord, is going to speak something and he's going to leave the body. So as soon as this message is broadcasted, so everybody comes. Of course there was no WhatsApp at that time, and probably those sadhus and all, they were so powerful, so they used to get this message by mind. So they're all there. Of course they could have as well watched it on Zoom, because they also had Zoom, they had Divya Chakshu, and they could actually watch it on Zoom, whatever was happening live there, but they wanted to be there present, see this pure Vaishnav Bhishma leaving the body and setting such a beautiful example of how a devotee is supposed to leave his body. So they've all assembled there. So Brahma Rishis are there, Raja Rishis are there, Gnana Rishis are there, Sapta Rishis are there, and all of them have assembled there. That is the scene, and Pandavas are there, and everybody is surrounding Bhishma. So then Bhishma starts speaking, and then in the corresponding verses it says that how Bhishma, he was dharmagya, he was so such a perfect follower of dharma, that though he was put in such a situation where he can't get up, he can't join his hands, he can't do nothing because he's all there with the bed of on the bed of arrows, but he still appropriately, according to time, situation and circumstances, offers his respects to all the sadhus who have come there. And in purport, Srila Prabhupada talks about how one should be very respectful to the guest, that is Grihastha Dharma, and how Bhishma so nicely, even though he's not able to do anything physically, but with his nice words, gentle words. He very nicely respects, shows his respects towards everybody who has arrived there. And then in the next verse, they also give out the names of all those who have come, and I think that's very auspicious. We can recite it. Parvat Muni comes there, Narad Muni comes, Dhaumya, Vyasa, Brihadashva, Bharadvaj, Parshuram, Vashishta, Trita, Grisamada, Ashita, Kakshivan, Gautam, Atri, Kaushik, Shudarshan. Oh, so many. I think around 20 names are given there. But hundreds and hundreds of sages, they all arrive there. And now they're all waiting for Bhishmadev to speak. And here when the Pandavas, they see Bhishmadev in such a situation, of course, they have been one of the cause. So Arjun specifically, and they're all crying tears and they're looking at Bhishmadev. And now Bhishmadev starts speaking. So he, first of all, he expresses his gratitude towards the Lord. He says, Krishna, who is situated in everybody's heart, so very kindly he has come here at the time of my death, to give me association, and I'm just indebted to him. And then he looks at the sons of Maharaj Pandu, and he starts speaking, oh, you boys have suffered so much suffering, but somehow, anybody else in your place, they couldn't have tolerated so much suffering the way you people have suffered. They wouldn't have been alive. But why you are alive? Because 3 things you have been very particular in following. And then very, very famous and very popular verse of Bhishma says, Vipra Dharma Achyuta Ashray. Because you have taken shelter of Vipra, that means a Brahmana or a Vaishnav, or Dharma and Achyuta. Vipra, Dharma and Achyuta. And it is such a beautiful lesson for the devotees that no matter what situation that you are put in your life, these 3 things we should never leave. That is association of Vaishnavas, Vipra, Dharma, we should not leave our spiritual practices, and Achyuta, we should not give up the shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I thought that was one of the very, very beautiful point in this chapter, because usually we tend to be very active in Krishna consciousness when situations are favorable, but during unfavorable situations we may step back. But here they say, on the contrary, one should take more shelter when we are put in difficult situations. So and no matter what happens, we should never leave Lord and Vaishnava's association. So Bhishma starts giving him Pandava's instruction, and then he talks about Kunti Devi. Oh, how my daughter-in-law Kunti, she suffered so much, and you people suffered, she suffered, everybody suffered. So now the question may come, why did they suffer? Did they do any wrong karma? Was it because of their previous karma? We may get, or did they commit any sinful activity? Because usually suffering means that's what we are expecting. Either it has to be some previous life karma, or what it is exactly. So here Bhishma is clarifying. In my opinion, Bhishma says, here it's in the translation, it said, this is all because of inevitable time. It's not your fault, neither your mother's fault. You people are sinless. You Pandavas are sinless. You haven't done anything wrong. You have always taken shelter of the Lord. But it's the inevitable time. What can be done? Just as the clouds are carried by the winds, sometimes this kind of situation happens. So here, very nicely Bhishma explains about the influence of time. So now a question may come in the mind. So who manipulates the time? So who is deciding what's going to happen? So then in the next verse, Bhishma says, "O king, no one can understand the Lord's plan. Everything is Lord's arrangement. This is Lord's arrangement, So even the great philosophers, they may try to decode, but Lord's plan nobody can decode." Now I was just thinking that any science in this world, there is at least some kind of a, you can at least, forecast, or you can predict something, like in maths, you have 2 plus 2 is always 4. Even if a lady writes it, or a man write it, or a small girl or an adult writes 2 plus 2 always comes to 4. But when it comes to Lord's things, you never know, 2 plus 2 can be 24 also. Lord has his own plan, and we think we've almost decoded it, we have decoded it, but it doesn't work. Sometimes he's causelessly favorable to somebody, and he gives so much mercy, and sometimes he's unpredictably strict with somebody. Like if you see in the life of Chota Haridas, for a very, very small mistake, of Chota Haridas, he was given such a strong punishment. The Lord says, I don't want to see your face. And even when the devotees came and said that Chota Haridas committed suicide, Lord said, good. And we will like, Mahavadanyaya, Namo Mahavadanyaya, Krishna Prema Pradayate, Krishnaya, Krishna Chaitanya. We are praying he is Mahavadanyaya. But with Chota Haridas, he was strict. So we never know. I mean, nobody can decode what he will do with whom, when. And then he can be extremely merciful to Jagai Madhai. But then he was strict with Chota Haridas. So you never know what he does. So here Yudhishthira says, Bhishma says to the Pandavas, nobody can understand Lord's plan. And then in the next verse he says, okay, Yudhishthira, forget about now. Okay, whatever happened has happened. Now you are the administrative head. So rule the citizens properly, make sure your subjects are happy. And then, he starts in that way. And then he says, as far as Krishna is concerned, he said, nobody can understand him, excepting who can understand. Probably Yudhishthira has put up a face asking that, you said nobody can understand Krishna's plan, but there must be at least somebody who understands Krishna. Then here Bhismadeva mentions in the next verse, he said, yeah, there are some people who understand Krishna better. They are the Mahajans. And then he mentions the names of Lord Shiva and Narada and how they are all confidential servants of the Lord. And yes, they can understand the Lord. And then in the next verse he says, but you Pandavas, you thought about the Lord as your maternal cousin, as your friend, as your messenger, as your benefactor, as your well-wisher, as your friend, but he is the supreme personality of Godhead. So this is so sweet. Bhishmadev is time and again clarifying the position of the Lord, and not inside a closed 10 by 10 room. He's clarifying it in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, where thousands and thousands of sages and learned scholars and pandits and rishis and munis and everybody, all are there. All the learned people of the whole three world are sitting there, and in front of everybody he is confirming again and again that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. And then in the next verse he says that Krishna is present in everybody's heart, and how Krishna is free from false ego, how he is equibalanced. And then in the next verse he says, and how graciously he has come before me, and because I have unflinching faith on him. And elsewhere the acharyas say that Bhishma is so humble, he takes up an humble position, saying that probably the Lord has come to me because I am related to Pandavas, and Lord has special mercy on Pandavas, and that's why the Lord is showing mercy on me. Now the sages who were sitting there, they may have a question in mind. Bhishma, okay, he's lucky, or okay, wow, Lord comes face to face when he leaves body. What about us? We are not married, we don't have grandchildren who are great devotees of the Lord, and so that Lord will come because of them. So will Lord come when we leave body? What's our situation? What are we to do if we also want to have a glorious death like you? Let's say they have this question in mind. So Bhishma answers in the next verse. He says, everybody can get Lord face to face by doing what? By chanting of the holy name and by meditating on him. And that solves everybody's dilemma. Okay, Bhishma got, what about, if we want that kind of death? So Bhishma says, yeah, Lord will come for everybody. You chant his name, you glorify his name, you chant his holy name, and you meditate on him. And then comes the beautiful verse, the verse number 24, my favorite verse, where Bhishma says to the Lord, now he's commanding and demanding and instructing, and very authoritatively he tells the Lord, oh my dear Lord, now as I prepare to leave my body, be there, stand there, and be the object of my vision. I love this verse so much. I'll just sing it for you. Sadeva Devo Bhagavan Pratikshataam Kalevaram Yavadidam Hinomi Aham prasannahasarunalochanolasat mukham bhujodhyanapataschaturbhujam. This is my favorite verse when he's saying Sadeva Devo Bhagavan Pratikshata. Wait for me. Pratiksha, just wait on me. And how Kalevaram Yavad, Kalevaram, when I give up this body, just wait for me. Prasanna Hasa, I have a demand. I want to see you happy, smiling. Prasanna Hasa. Aruna Lochanolasan, oh, your beautiful eyes. And Mukham Bhujo, your beautiful lotus-like face. Dhyana Pathas with Chaturbhuja. I want to see you in that form. Just be there. Wait for me when I leave the body. And I like this verse specifically because I feel that for somebody to demand like this to the Lord, he must have remembered the Lord so sincerely that the Lord is obligated to fulfill his demand. I mean, that should be the goal of a devotee's life, that we pray so hard and so hard and so hard that the Lord is obligated. Yes, yes, sir, I'm on the job. Tell me what I'm supposed to do next. So we have to work, we have to have our Krishna conscious journey, do it so sincerely, our whole process of sadhana, that Lord can be on our call, So here it looks like he has done the job. Otherwise, how come he has so much confidence to tell the Lord, wait upon me while I leave the body? Of course, many of the devotees, they ask me this question, that why is Bhishma asking the Lord to show the forehand form? I mean, we thought he likes Krishna, and then why he comes up with this form, forehand form, and why is he asking for that? So of course, I was trying to research on this, and I got one or two answers from different commentaries. We had one commentary from the Vallabha Sampradaya. They were saying that when the Lord showed the universal form and the forehand form to Arjuna when in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, where he spoke Bhagavad Gita, Bhishma could not see that. So that desire was in his heart, that Arjun saw that form and I haven't seen. Now how does he know that Arjun saw that form? Now of course, this is all, nothing from me, whatever the commentaries. And they say that Bhishma could actually not hear the whole Gita. Say different acharyas have given different commentaries. I'm just giving you one or two of what they say. That he hadn't heard, it seems, but he saw there's something happening. But because sometimes the wind blows this way, that way, he heard some things, and he knows that some form Krishna is showing, forehand, and Arjuna is saying, please come back to your two-hand form. And he had that eagerness, so he's just expressing his desire. Usually when somebody is about to die, then they just want to, the last wish. So I didn't see that form of yours, and I want to see that. Whereas in the other commentary I was reading, they said, well, it's just that he just wants to confirm for the world that this Krishna is Narayan. So that's why I'm asking him to show the forehand form. So don't mistake, that he's just a normal person. Krishna is Narayan and Narayan is Krishna. So he's just confirming. And then there was another commentary where they were saying that definitely Bhishma is attached to the two-hand form, Parthasarathi form, no doubt about it, because elsewhere he will not talk about it anymore. Just once he says this here, but he doesn't demand it again. And at the last moment, once we finish the stuti, we will see that in the end he does see the two-hand form of Krishna and he leaves the body. He's not looking at any more, forehand, but just one time he does mention this. So this is for benefit of everybody, others, to understand that Krishna is Narayan and Narayan is Krishna. And also probably he wanted to see that form which he showed to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So then after this verse, Sutta Goswami says that Maharaj Yudhishthira, in a very appealing tone, he asked him, about different principles, because he's a grandfather. So what am I supposed to do? What are the different principles of religion? What am I supposed to do as a king? And then Bhishma starts giving him lot of knowledge, lot of wisdom. He speaks about Varnashram Dharma. In fact, this particular verse, number 26, the purport is so, it's huge, it's exhaustive. What we should do there's small little things like one should not get angry, one should not speak lie, and one should be pure in mind. It's like it can be a class in itself. Beautiful, beautiful purport. And then he talks about dana dharma, and then dana dharma, charity. Then he talks about raja dharma, the duty of the king. Then he talks about stri dharma, the duty of a woman. And then he talks about bhagavad dharma. Then he talks about moksha dharma. So of course he goes on, and if we really want to get the details of this, we have to read Mahabharata Shanti Parva. So huge. There are two big chapters in Mahabharata. One is this conversation of Bhishma, and the other one is Yudhishthira and Yaksha's conversation, right? So it's a huge one. But here they have just mentioned the titles in Bhagavatam. So then he keeps on speaking about different histories of different other kings, what they did previously, and with proper examples. And then while he's speaking all this, about occupational duties, what Bhishma observes is that the sun has changed its direction. Now it's going, the northern hemisphere. The Uttarayan time has started, the auspicious time where the yogis, they want to leave their body at this time. So he sees the auspicious time has come, now I should leave my body. So this whole conversation happens for 54 days. So the Pandavas have come there, and Bhishma is speaking and speaking. So this is happening for 54 continuous days. And now this is the last day, and here Bhishma says, oh, the right time has come, now I should leave the body. Of course, there's another controversy about this also. Well, for a devotee, Sarvakala Krishna Samarpan. Sarvakala Krishna Samarpan. For a devotee, he remembers the Lord always. So whenever he leaves his body, it is auspicious. And he goes back home, back to Godhead. Then why was Bhishma waiting for Uttarayan? So here also there are different commentaries by different acharyas. And they say that Bhishma just wanted to leave a good example. Okay, when he has the choice, then why not leave an auspicious time? Because our mentality is like that. If Bhishma is waiting for the auspicious time and leaving on the auspicious time, then our question is, why does he have to wait? When Krishna is in front of him, he can leave body anytime. And suppose if Bhishma would not have wait for the auspicious time and leave his body on just any time, then we would say, well, when Bhishma was a pure devotee of the Lord, and when he had Ichha Mrityu, that means when he had this boon of leaving his body at any time he wanted, then why did he choose to leave his body on the inauspicious time? Why didn't he leave it on auspicious time? So our questions are always there. No matter whether he leaves in his auspicious or inauspicious time, we always have a question mark. But what I heard another very special commentary about this word Uttarayan, which took my heart away. He said that Uttarayan is not that Uttarayan, that sun passing through northern hemisphere. Here the Uttarayan Bhishma is talking about is something more special. So he said, in the commentary he says that just like Narayan means one who takes ayan, shelter of Nara, that is water. He's Narayan. Similarly, Uttarayan means one who takes shelter of the womb of Uttara. And who is that who has taken shelter of the womb of Uttara? That is the Supreme Lord. He had to take shelter of the womb of Uttara to go inside and then fight with this Brahmastra of Ashwadhama and drive it out to protect Parikshit. So that is why another name of the Lord is Uttarayan. And Bhishma was actually waiting for this Uttarayan in his life, for Lord Krishna to come. So now the question may come out, is it? But then Krishna already came 54 days back. Why is he waiting for all 54 days more? No, it's just that he's just doing his duties as a grandsire. He has to give certain instructions to Yudhishthira, and he spoke the Vishnu Sahasranama, and he's doing his stuti to the Lord, and he's just giving his prayers. So he's doing what is supposed to be done, and that's taking all the time. But factually, he was waiting for Krishna to arrive, not for some sun to go south or north. That's immaterial for a devotee. Then in the next verse, finally Bhishma says, okay, now I'm not going to talk anything anymore. Now I think it's my time. I want to now just pray to the to my Lord and leave my body. So Bhishma stops talking, and then with his mind completely on Krishna, he starts the Bhishma Stuti, the prayers, which is a very, very beautiful garland of prayers, just 11 verses, something like our 5 Gnanendriyas and 5 Karmendriyas and mind, the 11 senses dedicated to the Lord. He dedicates these beautiful verses to the Lord. So we will recite them and, quickly try to understand the meaning of each and every verse in this Bhishma Stuti. So we'll begin. This is Canto 1, Chapter 9, text number 32. Shri Bhishma Uvacha Iti mati upakalpita vitrishna Bhagavati satvata pungave vibhumni Swasukham upagate kvached vihartum Prakritim upayushu yad bhava pravaha. So here Bhishma begins his stuti, Bhishma Uvacha, and he says, Iti mati upakalpita vatrishna. My mati, my thinking, my feeling, my willing, oh Lord, I want to, which was so far engaged in different subjects, I just now want to invest it into you. Now, I'm going to give you a very beautiful, beautiful analysis of the same verse by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, because he puts it in a pretty interesting way, not this simple. He gives the meaning like this. He says, Upakalpita means marriage in Sanskrit. The other meaning of Upakalpita is also marriage. So he the way he explains this whole verse, he says, actually, Bhishma is getting old, right? He's old and he's going to die any moment. And he has an unmarried daughter. And he's worried that I need to get my daughter married before I leave my body. So who is this unmarried daughter? This unmarried daughter is mind, So mati is mind. So he wants to give his mind, his heart, to Krishna. So he wants to, get his mati married to Krishna. So he says, Iti mati upakalpita vatrishna. Oh my Lord, oh Yadavapati, please accept my daughter. Now somebody will say, okay, you want to get your mati, your mind married to Krishna, great. So whom exactly are you, targeting to? So the second line he says, Bhagavati. This person, Bhagavan, who is standing right in front of me. Okay, so Bhagavan means which Bhagavan? Okay, you're saying the word Bhagavan. So Bhagavan means he's up there. No. He says the second word, Bhagavati Satvati. This Bhagavan Krishna who has appeared in the dynasty of Satvata. Satvata is name of a king. He was very famous king in the Lord's dynasty. So that's why time and again you see Lord has been called, Satvata, one who belongs to the Satvata Kula. Sometimes he's called Vrishni Kula, Yadu Kula, Satvata Kula. If you just remember in the Gopi Geet also, there is this beautiful verse. Nakhalu Gopika Nandano Bhavan Akhila Dehina Mantaratmadrek Vikhana Sarthito Vishwaguptaye Sakha Udeivan Satvatam Kule. The gopis call him Satvatam Kule. Oh, you've come in Satvat Kula. So here the same thing, Bhishma is saying Satvata. This Bhagavan who has appeared in Satvata Kule. So somebody may ask, oh really? You want to get your your daughter married to him? But there are so many other valorous, virtuous kings in that dynasty. Why only him? So the next word, Pungave, because he's Pungave. He's the ultimate. He's the best among the Satvata Kule. Oh, is it? What else is his quality? Oh, he's Vibhumni. Nobody can match him. Nobody can, we cannot even compare with him. He's the best. Vibhumna. Bhuma means big. He's huge. He's great. Oh, is it? So, if he's so great and he's the best Pungave and from the Sattvatam Kule, why did he even come to this material world? That may be the question. So the third line, well, Swasukham, he came for his own pleasure, not because you and me, nobody can drive him to come. It's his own wish. Swasukham upagate kvachid vihartum. For his own transcendental pleasure, he appears. Oh, he said. So then, Prakritim upayete, the fourth line. So how this world is created for him to go? No, he creates it. That's what Bhishma is explaining. He comes for his own pleasure and he creates and annihilates. He looks at the Prakriti, the nature, and the world is created and he annihilates. That great is the bridegroom which I'm looking for my daughter. So this is completely explaining the Aishwarya Bhava of the Lord. So he says, okay, now somebody may ask, oh great, you are explaining great qualities about, the Yadavapati whom you want your daughter to get married. But can we know some quality about your daughter? Does she know how to cook? Can she clean the house? Is she educated? You will ask questions when a marriage has to take place. So can we know what's the quality of your daughter? So Bhishma says, yeah, I'll let you know. My daughter is Vitrishna. Vitrishna means, my daughter is pure. She is not interested in anybody but Krishna. And I know this is the only qualification that Krishna is looking for to get married. So she is not interested in anybody but Krishna. Vitrishna. Vitrishna means no other Trishna, no other desire but for Krishna. So here Bhishma is explaining that's the qualification of my daughter, my Mati. So I'm getting worried since I'm going to leave my body now. I want to get my mind married to you. My dear Lord Krishna, please accept her. And this is her quality, please accept her. So then we'll go to the next verse now. This verse talks about, this stuti is specifically very special because there are stuti also is of two types. There is one stuti which is called Sneha stuti and one is Swartha stuti. Swartha Pradhan stuti is where the devotee praises the Lord, but the devotee also has some desires. But here is Bhishma Stuti is more of sneha. It's more of love. He wants to love the Lord. He wants to give his mind to the Lord. He wants to give. He doesn't want anything from the Lord. He wants to give the Lord. He wants to give himself. He wants to give his mind, thinking, feeling, willing, everything to the Lord. So then somebody may ask, oh great, looks like this alliance will work, but what else? So now he's going to praise the Lord. Out of everybody in this world, if Krishna may ask, why are you looking only for me, for your daughter to get married? So in the second verse he says, well, because you are the most wanted bachelor. You are the most wanted person. Now you see in the second verse he says, Tribhuvana kamanam tamala-varanam ravikara gauravarambaram dadhane Vapuralakakula Vritanabjam Vijaya Sakherati me Navatya. So here he says, oh, you are the most wanted person, Tribhuvana Kamanam. Oh, my dear Lord, it's not that only I am asking. Oh, everybody wants you. Who doesn't want you? Tribhuvana, all the three worlds. That means the Bhuloka and the lokas above, the Jana Loka, Tapa Loka, Satya Loka, Mahar Loka, and the lokas below. And what's the proof of this? When Lord goes to Patal, Rasatal, Sutal, Talatal, Bali Maharaj's place, what happened? Everybody is looking at the Lord and staring at the Lord, and they are fascinated, they are amazed by his beauty. And then when Lord goes to the higher planets, like when he went to Swarga to give the earrings of Mother Aditi and to give the umbrella of Varun Dev back, all the ladies and people in Swarga Loka, they were just staring at him, his beautiful face, and just looking. They were crazy for him. And then in this Loka also, in Bhuloka also, when Lord goes to Hastinapur or anywhere, everybody is looking out for him and they get mesmerized by him. So Tribhuvana Kamanam, oh Lord, who doesn't want you? All the three world, you are the most wanted person. Tamalavaranam, oh Tamalavaranam, oh your skin is of the color of bluish black. or black color Tamil tree, just like the complexion of a Tamil tree. Ravikara Gauravara Ambaram. Oh, your clothes, they look like Ravikara. The sun rays, when they fall on your yellow colored dhoti, it's shining so nicely. Such beautiful clothes you are wearing, the color of your skin. And Vapurala Kakula. Oh, your face, it has all the marks of sandalwood, nicely painted, something here, something here, something here. It's all painted very beautifully. When you read this verse, I remember Radha Madhav, in Mayapur, because they do extensively, so much painting they do. Usually when we have Krishna in white, there are less chances of so much painting, but for Radha Madhav, they do so beautiful painting. So you can just imagine that face. So all that sandalwood painting, and then says Vijaya Sakhe. Oh, here Bhishmadev addresses Krishna so beautifully with the name Vijaya Sakhe. Oh, friend of Vijay. Who is Vijay? Vijay is another name of Arjun. Arjun had very special 9 names. He was called Falgun, Jishnu, Dhananjay. These are all different names by which Arjun is called, So this one name of Arjun is Vijay, because wherever he goes, victory is his. Victory touches his feet, So he's called Vijaya. So here Bhishma is addressing him as, oh, friend of Arjun, Vijaya Sakhe, Ratir astu me, my Rati. Oh, Rati means love, prema. Oh, my prema, my love should be on you, oh Vijaya Sakhe. And why should you accept my love? Because it's Navadya. My love is nirdosh. It's faultless. Now somebody may say, love also has fault? We never thought that. Yeah, love has 2 faults. Because love, the fault number 1 is, love sometimes becomes intense, sometimes it becomes less intense. It doesn't remain stable. Sometimes it's intense, sometimes it's not. And the other fault with love is mixed with desire. You're having some kind of an expectation from the other person. So here he's saying, but my love is faultless. That means it's always on same intensity. It doesn't go down. And my love is faultless because I don't have any expectation from you. I just want to love you. So here he says, please accept my love. Please, I want to, invest my love on you, Vijaya Sakhe, on you, my dear Lord. And then Bhishma will not stop here. In the next verse, he will explain some more about the beauty of the Lord. The verse number 3 of Bhishma Stuti. Yudhitura garajo vidhumra vishvak kachalulita shramavāri alankritasye mama nishitashare vibhedyamana tvacha vilasat kavachestu Krishna Atma. So now he'll explain furthermore. He'll say, you know what, I remember the beauty of your face. Yudhitura garajo. Usually people look beautiful when they wash their face properly, put some nice powder, and they look nice. But you look beautiful in every situation. Even when in the battlefield, when you are taking care of the horses of Arjun, and because in the battlefield the horses are moving here, hither and thither, and all that that dust which is coming on your face, my Lord, your face looks like ash. I'll tell you the exact word. He says, turned ashen due to the dust raised by the hoofs of the horses. Your face has turned ashen because of the dust by the hoofs of the horses, and that face, my Lord, is very beautiful. And then what is happening to that face? There is this, hairs are flowing. You just see the flowing hair of the Lord. Yeah, it will, because you see, you are in speed running, you're taking care of those horses, and the hair is moving here and there. And then he says, and there is sweat. And there is sweat on the face, because it's not an AC car. He's not a charioteer of a BMW. He's taking care of horses. So he's sweating. He's sweating because he has to have the whip in one hand and he has to take care of the horses. So he's sweating everywhere. And that is looking like decorations. And then he says, and there are wounds on your body because of my sharp arrows. Because sometimes Bhishma is putting arrows on Arjun, but because Krishna is a very expert charioteer, he just puts his chariot this way, that way, and sometimes just to safeguard Arjun, those arrows are striking Krishna, and then they're making deep wounds, and then small drops of blood are coming out from their wounds. So you can imagine now how Krishna is looking. The face is with dust, ash, and then the hair is flowing, and there is sweat everywhere, and there are small wounds made by Bhishma's arrow, and there is blood coming out from there. And he says, that form of yours, my Lord, I just want to keep my mind into that. So imagine, so beautifully, Bhishma is explaining about the beauty of the Lord, and especially about this Parthasarathi face of the Lord, Parthasarathi form of the Lord, because this form was exclusive to Bhishma, because Arjun never saw it, because Arjun was behind the Lord, so he can't see the this form of the Lord. But those who are fighting and from the opposing armies, only they can see this form of the Lord. And Bhishma could see it maximum because he was the one who was fighting with Arjun, so he can actually meditate on this beautiful form of the Lord. And devotees like this form of the Lord. Why? See, there is one form where Lord is all decorated and sitting. Wonderful. But when you see the Bhakta Vatsala form, where Lord is actually doing something, that is more attractive. Something like you see the women of the house. They may look very nice and pretty. They're dressed for a party. But the same woman, when she's sweating out, for her children and running some errands at home, or for that matter, even the father of the house or the mother of the house, when they're doing something, that form is, it may not have the perfect hair, it may not have, it may be sweaty, it may have some, smelly, maybe perspiring, working, but you are working, you're showing your love. Then there's something, some form is attractive, but there's some form which is respectable. This is respectable form. You want to respect this form, So this is where Krishna is Bhakta Vatsala. He's just going out of his way to do something for his devotee, and that attracts the heart of a devotee. That my Lord, he may not be looking of course Krishna looks best in every situation, but yes, that's the form the devotee wants to see, Bhakta Vatsala, because that gives such a reassurance to the devotee that yes, my Lord is there for me, and he'll always be there for me, and he'll protect me. So it's not only about physical beauty, but it's about the, here Bhishma is showing the heart of the Lord. So in the beginning he said he wants his daughter to get married, and then he explained that you are the most eligible, bridegroom where everybody is looking for. And then he explains about not only physical beauty, but you're also beautiful from inside, my Lord. Your heart is also beautiful. You can do anything for your devotee. That Lord I want to get my daughter married to. And then in the next verse, we come up to the fourth verse of Bhishma Stuti. Sapadi sakhi vacho nishamya madhye nija parayor balayor ratham niveshya stitavati parasainikayurakshna Ritavati partha sakhe ratir mamastu. This is a very beautiful verse. He says, now he's going to the flashback, just remembering the Kurukshetra war and how. So he's just saying that, in this word you see, sapadi sakhi vacho, sakhi, your friend, and you just obeyed, on the battlefield, sapadi is on the battlefield, the command of your friend. Your friend Arjuna told you, take my chariot in the middle of the battlefield, and you just obeyed his word. And then what did you do after going there? You brought the chariot in between the soldiers of Arjuna and Duryodhana, and then you looked at the soldiers of the opposing armies, and you have shortened their life. You have just shortened their life by your merciful glance, and just by looking at them. So on that, Krishna, I want my mind to be fixed. Now Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he gives a very interesting explanation to this. He says, now see, when we simply read this, we understand, he shortened the lifespan. So how did he shorten? So we may think he shortened the lifespan because maybe the way, the combination of Arjun and Krishna, maybe the opposing armies, when they look at this combination, they have lost their confidence. So they're half dead. They're thinking like, oh, we'll be defeated because Arjun is there and Krishna is there. So maybe that confidence is gone. Or other way of saying is that, because Krishna is a doer ultimately. So when he is looking, he's already killed them. That's what Krishna said also in Gita, right? To Arjuna, that I've already killed them. You become a nimitta. Is it not? So that is one way of seeing. In fact, I should tell you one story regarding this. See, the fact that it was Krishna who actually killed everybody is very nicely explained by this pastime of Barbaric. This Barbaric, he was a grandson of Bhima, and when the Mahabharata war was about to begin, the Kurukshetra war was about to begin, then he comes, I also want to be part of the war, I'm going to fight. So Krishna one evening is just chatting with everybody. My whole family is there. He's asking everybody, if you had to fight the war alone, how many days you think you can complete the war? So everybody is saying 10 days, 4 days, 8 days, 5 days. And then the question came to Barbaric, grandson of Bhima. How many days you can complete the war? He said 1 day. I can complete in 1 day. He said, how is that? He said, very simple. I have 3 arrows and I will be done with it. I said, what is that 3 arrows? So now Barbaric had made a vow that whoever is the weaker side, he will go and fight from their behalf. He has nothing to do with relatives or who is connected or who is my blood relative. It's not important. So for him it is like this. He will initially fight with the Pandavas because Pandavas were less in strength. Their Akshahonis were less in number. Their soldiers were less in number than Kauravas. And then now in the middle of the war, when he starts fighting, if he starts defeating the Kauravas and the Kauravas become weak, then he will go from their side and fight against Pandavas. Now if the Pandavas start becoming weak, then he will switch sides. He'll keep switching it. So it's very dangerous because he doesn't belong to anybody. And he said, I can complete it in 1 day, the whole war. And Krishna said, how will you do it? He said, I have 3 arrows. Said the first arrow goes and marks everybody whom I want to kill. And the second arrow goes and kills everybody. So Krishna says, can you just show me, practically? He said, I can show you, just 1 minute. They went out in the garden. He said, now here is my arrow. He put the arrow. And the arrow went and marked all the leaves on that. There were maybe like hundreds of leaves on that tree. Now Krishna, to test him purposely, took 1 leaf and hid below his feet. Then the arrow started circling Krishna's feet. And Barbaric said, you better remove your feet because unless and until it marks that leaf, it will not leave you. It will pierce through your feet, my Lord. So Lord removes the feet and then he marks it. The arrow marks it. And then he puts in a second arrow, and the arrow, whatever is marked, he just burns those leaves. So he says, for me it's very simple. Everybody will be marked and everybody will be killed. Now Krishna had tried to hide that leaf because he thought in case if he has to save the Pandavas from Barbaric, in case if he fights from Kaurava's side, there is no chance because the arrow will not leave, So now Krishna got worried. So he said, wonderful, Barbaric, you got a, amazing knowledge. How did you get all this? So out of his humility, he says, my Lord, it's you, my Lord, though I am, you are the ultimate, you are my guru. And Krishna says, hold on. Did you say I am your guru? Oh, yeah, you are, my Lord. Okay, then where is my guru dakshina? I need my fees. Oh, definitely, my Lord. What do you want? I want your head. That's it. And now Barbaric, a tear comes out. And Krishna says, hey, you are Kshatriya. Kshatriya men don't cry. No, I'm not crying because you asked me for my head, my Lord. I'm crying because I really wanted to see this war. I was looking forward to see this historical war and now I won't be part of it. Then Krishna says, don't worry, I'll fulfill your desire. You will be dead, but your head will still have life and you can actually watch the war, though you can't participate. So they actually chop off his head and they take this head and put it on the top of a mountain. And from there he watches this whole Mahabharata, this Kurukshetra Yuddha, the battle. And at the end of it, on one fine evening, when everybody is discussing who did the best, who performed the best, who killed how many, and then this discussion was going on, Krishna said, why are we unnecessarily arguing? Because we just saw half of it, right? Everybody can't see what the others fought or how many soldiers they killed. Let's ask Barbaric because he's seen everything. He's there on the top of the mountain. So they all went there and they asked Barbaric, who do you think has done the best, and killed the maximum soldiers or the warriors in this war? And then Barbaric started laughing. He said, why are you laughing? He said, because I saw it. Nobody did anything. Everything was done by Krishna. Krishna killed everybody. Everything was done by Krishna. Nobody has done anything in this war. So yes, Krishna is already killed. That's what Krishna told Arjuna, that they are already killed, my dear Arjuna. You just go ahead and, just do what I'm asking you to do. They have already been killed by me, right? And in his Vishwarupa universal form, he shows how they are already going inside his mouth. So this is one bhava where he says, you already, taken off their life by your glance. But Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, no, what he actually means by this word here is, when Krishna looks at somebody, he's taking their life. How? Because there will be no more birth, death, old age and disease for them. So that is the way Krishna has shortened their life. Because now they don't have to, go to any other mother's womb anymore. They're done. Once Krishna's merciful glance falls on them, Krishna has taken away their lives. That means they don't have to take birth again. So that's the bhava here. Their karma is over. Everything is done for them. So here Bhishma is telling that, my Lord, your merciful glance, and you have taken off their life from because everybody who died in this battlefield of Kurukshetra, they all went back home, back to Godhead. Everybody, whether they were fighting from Arjuna's side or they were fighting from Pandava's side, Krishna has, thrown their merciful glance on them and has purified all of them, and they all went. Because it has to logically also, because Krishna said now that, when they're looking at, of course, it's not that those who were looking at Krishna when they were leaving body only went back home, back to Godhead. Everybody. Even if somebody died somewhere in some nook and corner also in Kurukshetra, but they all went back home, back to Godhead. They were all blessed by Krishna. Go to the next verse. Vyavahita pritana mukham nirikshya svajanavadhat vimukhasya dosha buddhya kumatim maharadhatma vidyayayas charanarati paramasyatasyamestu. So here he says, here very beautiful two words he uses for Arjun. He says Vyavahita. Vyavahita is very nicely designed, everything very nicely designed, standing at a distance. And when Arjuna saw the soldiers and he saw Svajana, his own people, then he became Vimukhasya. He suddenly decided, no, I don't want to fight. So he got dosha buddhi. He's using this word here, dosha buddhi. Let me see the English translation. Polluted intelligence. Said Arjuna's intelligence got polluted. Kumatim. He was having poor fund of knowledge, and you helped him out. By doing what? By giving Atma Vidya. Atma Vidya means by speaking about Bhagavad Gita. You told him about the difference of body and soul. You told him everything, and you made his Kumati into Sumati. Because his intelligence had become polluted. He didn't want to fight. Now if somebody at the outset just reads this verse, they'll think, really? Using such harsh words for Arjun? Poor fellow, his heart was simply full of compassion. He was just saying, how can I kill these people? They are my relatives, they're respectable, they're all worshipable. If I kill these soldiers, their wives will be widowed. And heart full of compassion. And here Bhishma is using words like Kumati, Dosha Buddhi. His intelligence was polluted. So that means here Bhishma is again confirming that our permanent relationship is with Krishna. And if our temporary relationships are coming in between our service to Krishna, that means it's polluted intelligence. It's Kumati. We should not allow our temporary situations and temporary relationships of this material world to hamper our spiritual relationship with Krishna. So that's such a beautiful teaching. So-called, we may materially think this is my duty, this is of very much importance to me. But Bhishma makes it very clear: anything that is connected to Krishna makes sense. Otherwise, it's useless. Shrama eva hi kevalam. If you're not satisfying Krishna by whatever you're doing, Shrama eva hi kevalam. Right? So samsiddhi haritoshanam. Everything is to please Krishna. Otherwise, it's waste of time. So here, such a beautifully, he says that he had dosha buddhi, he had kumati, and you sorted it out. You from kumati you made it to sumati, where Arjun says, whatever you say, karishye vachanam tava, I'm ready to do whatever you say, my Lord. So you brought him to that level by giving him Atma Vidya. Anybody who reads Bhagavad Gita, their Kumati will become Sumati. They will develop that relationship with the Lord. They will understand what is their relationship with the Lord, and they will start acting according to it, working out according to it, and their life will become successful. So here is also mentioning about, so that Krishna, my charana, my rati should be on the charana, on the lotus feet of that Krishna who gave Atma Vidya to Arjun and gave him good intelligence. So such a beautiful verse. And you see, time and again Bhishma will be talking about Parthasarathi form of the Lord in connection with Arjun, because that form of the Lord is so merciful. Hundreds and thousands and lakhs of soldiers were delivered by that form of the Lord. In the Parthasarathi form, where he's driving the chariot of Arjuna, he delivered in mass people, everybody went back home, back to Godhead. So I thought this was very important lesson for everybody of us, that those who claim to be the devotee of the Lord, the servant of the Lord, should not allow temporary distractions in between their service to Lord Shri Krishna. Whatever is distracting them from service of the Lord, that is kumati. Even if materially it may look very nice, but it doesn't have any importance if it's not helping us to serve Krishna, then it doesn't have any value. Next verse. Swanigamapahaya mat pratigna mritam adhikartum avapluto rathasta dritaratha charano bhyayachaladgur haririvahantum ibham gato tariya. Now here it says, we may think, oh, Krishna likes only Arjun. So here Bhishma is in this verse, he says, well, he likes me too. You like me too, my Lord. You have reciprocated to me also. So I won't go into this story, because I think we're already running out of time and I want to complete the whole stuti. But this story of how, this pastime of how, Krishna does this whole Leela with Draupadi and the 5 arrows, and finally how Bhishma gets all upset and he takes a vow that today, that either am I going to kill Arjuna today, or Krishna is going to break his vow of not raising weapon. And he's successful in that. Krishna, just to keep the word of his devotee Bhishma, he breaks his vow. Krishna is not supposed to, lift any weapon. That's what he promised. When Duryodhana and Arjun came, for help during the war, Krishna says, one takes my Narayani Seva and one takes me, and I'm not going to use any weapon. But here he breaks his promise. When he sees Bhishma is attacking very ferociously, and Arjun, out of his emotion and sentiment for his grandfather, is not fighting very fiercely, and he's little soft-hearted, and he thought that now Bhishma may actually kill Arjun. So he just gets down, jumps from his chariot, and he takes a broken wheel in his hand, and he runs like a lion running towards a elephant to kill, and he breaks his vow. And Arjuna is on the feet of Krishna, holding his feet and holding his thigh and saying, Krishna, don't break your promise. I promise you I'll fight. I will fight. I will kill Bhishma. Give me a chance. Please don't do this. And Krishna is not, he's just dragging Arjun, and Arjun is holding Krishna, and finally, Arjun's, leg is inside a small, kind of a pit, and when finally with the help of that, he's able to bring Krishna to a halt, and Krishna is all angry and he wants to kill Bhishma. So Bhishma is just reminded of that incident here, and he's putting it in his stuti that, externally somebody may feel that you were very harsh to me, but you actually did it just to, keep my my woe, because I made a promise in the morning that today I will make Krishna lift his weapon or I'll kill Arjuna. So just to keep up that woe of mine, you have lift the weapon, oh Lord. You know, you're that Lord, oh, that beautiful form of yours I want to keep in my mind. So he just explains in detail how he even dropped his upper garment when he was running in rage. So this is one beautiful stuti that Bhishma is, expressing how Lord was, sacrificing his own promise for the promise of his devotee. Go to the next verse. Sita vishikahato vishirna damsha shataja paripluta tatayinomi prasabhamabhishashar madvadhartham sabhavatu me bhagavan gatir mukunda. So here he says, my Lord. Here he uses the word Mukunda, the giver of salvation. Oh, let you be my ultimate destination. So in the first verse he says Mati, then he says Rati, now he says Gati. My love, my mind should be invested in you. You should be my ultimate destination. And then he's just saying that you were angry on me because I made so many wounds by my sharp arrow. Even your armor, your protective armor was also scattered, and your body was smeared with blood, and wounds everywhere, and you were charging towards me. Oh Mukunda, that beautiful form of yours I want to see. And when Krishna did that, actually Bhishma just gave up his weapons and he was standing there, all surrendered to be killed by the Lord. Who would want to lose that opportunity to be directly killed by the Lord? So he's just, and this whole drama, of course, this Sita Vishika Hato, oh my sharp arrows. What can Bhishma's arrow do? Even Brahmastra can't do anything with the Lord. The Lord goes inside the womb and, Ashwatthama's Brahmastra is neutralized. Then what is Bhishma's arrows? But this is all drama, and Lord's body is made up of Satchitananda. There is no blood, there is no sweat. But this is all to beautify the pastime. Go to the next word. One thing I should say, I felt so beautiful in this verse where Bhishma uses the word Atatai for himself, the bad man. Atatai is one who is like aggressor. In fact, in the scriptures it says that Atatai means those who, let's say somebody burns your house, somebody kidnaps your wife, somebody steals your property. There are some 6 things, which when people do, there is no harm to kill them. So they are called Atatai. So he's calling himself as Atatai. Oh, I'm a bad man. That means even if you kill me, there's no sin. I'm such a sinful person. Very humbly Bhishma is putting himself there. Go to the next verse. Vijaya Ratha Kutumba Atatotre Dritahaya Rashminita Shriye Kshaniye Bhagavati Ratirastu me Mumusho Yamiha Nirakshahata Gata Swarupam. So here there's a very beautiful word here used. You just see Kutumba. Kutumba means, in Hindi we say Kutumba, Parivar, Kutumba, family. So here it says actually Kutumba means one that to protect which one can go to any limit or one can take any amount of risk. So here Bhishma says to Krishna that for you Arjun's chariot is Kutumba. You would go to any extent to protect him. See, there is one incident I should mention in the Kurukshetra war which happened, which gives a good idea about this verse. Once what happened, Karna, he was trying to kill Arjun, right? So he had this one very infallible arrow, which was like for sure going to kill Arjun. So he just shot this arrow aiming at Arjun's neck. And now what happened, there was this serpent called Ashwashen. He was the son of Takshak snake, and now that's a big story why he had enmity towards Arjun and what happened in Indraprastha, but he wanted to take revenge on Arjun. So what he did when Karna shot the arrow, Ashwashena, the serpent, he also tied himself, went around the arrow. So he thought that the moment that arrow reaches Arjuna, I'll catch him and kill him. So that arrow, when Karna shot it, now it was finished. Arjuna was going to die. There was nothing that can be done because the arrow is shot and it's just coming near to Arjuna. At that time, what Krishna did is immediately he gave he whipped the horse so hardly that the horse, they sat down. All the horses, they sat on their knees. So just because now the chariot went down, even Arjuna went down, and as a result, instead of his neck, the arrow hit his crown, and it went down. So like that, there were innumerable incidents where Krishna was time and again protecting Arjuna like a kutumba, protecting his chariot, protecting Arjuna so safely. He never allowed anybody to touch him. So Bhishma is just remembering that. So he said that, I want to concentrate my mind on that form of you, my Lord, where with one hand you are holding the whip in your right hand and a bridle rope in your left hand, and you're controlling those horses and you're taking care of Arjuna's chariot so nicely. And it says, those who saw this form on this battlefield of Kurukshetra, they all went back home, back to Godhead. That's what he says. So somebody may say, okay, so those who know Shastras, scriptures, can only they go back home? Bhishma was a Kshatriya warrior. Did he ever have time to read scriptures? So what was it like? So Bhishma is clarifying, it's not about reading scriptures, it's about keeping your mind on Krishna. And that's what the gopis did. And now he'll talk about the gopis in the next verse. And this is just to... he want to culminate his stuti with not only the fond remembrances of the Lord, but also remembrance of the devotees of the Lord. And who but the gopis are the highest, and the best of the devotees of the Lord. So he'll also remember the gopis now, and then he'll culminate in another 1 or 2 verses. So, Lalita gati vilas valguhasa pranaya nirikshana kalpitaro manaha kritamanu kritavatya unmadandha prakriti magan kilayasya gopa avadva. So now he remembers the gopis. And he says, my dear Lord, I want my mind to be fixed on that Krishna whose smiles, whose motions were all, very attractive to the damsels of Vrindavan, and who were imitating his characteristics movements when he had left them. The Gopi Geet, he's talking about the Gopi Geet, the Viraha Geet, how when Krishna left the gopis in the middle of the rasa dance, and then how the gopis were crying, and then how the gopis were imitating Krishna. Somebody was acting like Kaliya and somebody was acting like Krishna. So he's saying that I want to fix my mind on that Krishna, whom the damsels of Vrindavan, who has taken away the heart of the damsels of Vrindavan. So here that way he's remembering the, because Krishna is Purna in Dwaraka, and he's Purnatara in Mathura, but he's Purnatam in Vrindavan. So now he's remembering that Purnatam form of Krishna in Vrindavan, and his highest devotees, gopis, who had seen. When you're writing an exam or you're preparing for an exam, you just want to take the notes from the best student, because whom has scored well, and who but the gopis. Now he wants to invest his mind, feeling, thinking, willing in Krishna, and who but the gopis have done it. They're thinking about Krishna constantly, 24 hours. They cannot stay alive without thinking about Krishna. 24 hours they are in consciousness of Krishna. When I say this, I'm just reminded of this verse from Bilva Mangal Thakur's Govinda Damodar Stuti. He says, Vikretu kama khila gopakanya murari padar pita chitta vritti Dadhyadhikam mohavasadavochat Govinda damodhara madhaveti. Says the gopis are, even when they go out to the marketplace to sell butter or ghee or milk, they are so much conscious of Govinda, Damodara, Madhava, that they are just telling everybody, do you want half liter of Govinda? You want fresh half kg of Damodar? I have fresh. They're not saying butter, they're not saying ghee, they're just saying Krishna. Govinda, Damodara, Madhava. Govinda, Damodara, Madhava. Because chitta vritti, their whole chitta, there is nothing in their consciousness except Krishna. Their consciousness is full of Krishna. So here Bhishma wants to remember those great exalted devotees before he leaves his body, because he wants to, come to that stage of gopis and think nothing but Krishna. So here he says that Krishna, I want to keep my mind on. Go to the next verse. Munigana nripavarya sankulenta sadasi yudhishthara rajasuyesham arhanamupapedai kshaniyo mama drishi gochara esha vira atma. Somebody may feel, oh, it's only with the Bhishma and with those gopis. He says, no. Everybody, even the munis, all the learned sages who have read so much scriptures, even they were present in the Rajasuya Yajna which happened in the palace of Yudhishthira Maharaj, and they all unanimously agreed that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they offered him the Agra Puja, and I was there in that, when that happened, and I remember that form of Krishna. So this is very beautiful, because you see many of them, they argue, they'll say, how long are you devotees going to remain in that low stage of, deity worship and thinking about the personal form of Krishna? You should try to elevate yourself, and go to the Nirakar Brahma. But here Bhishma is clarifying that the highest stage is to remember the personal form of Krishna. And it's not that, after some time you give it up and then there's nothing higher than that. But the whole point is these so-called people who talk like this, their knowledge is limited, It is something like, imagine there are owls who can see only in the night, and imagine they're all taking shelter on a tree, one night. And there's this one swan, white swan, comes there to take shelter in the night. And the owls are very much surprised to see something like this, because they've never seen a white color swan, and they ask him, who are you and why are you, here on our tree? And let's say the swan says, well, actually I was just flying to some other place, but because it's dark now, I can't fly, so I'll fly tomorrow morning. Now the owls will ask, dark? What do you mean by dark? So what is this dark? I've never heard about dark. The swan says, well, darkness means when there is no sun. So now the owls may ask, oh, no sun? What is sun? I never heard about suns. Is the sun a name of a bird? What is sun? Oh, no. Sun means that which gives light so that you can see. Oh, see, we can see right now. We are able to see everything. In fact, we were not able to see just some time ago, but now we are able to see. Now, how will the swan explain that? You fools, you are owls. You can only see in the night. You don't know what is meant by sun. You don't know what it means by light. And now imagine, even if the swan tries to explain, what will the owls think? Oh, this bird looks very weird, and he's talking all mental concoction. He's talking about something called sun, and he's talking about something called light, and he's talking about some... We are able to see everything clearly now. And the swan says that it is dark. What is darkness? And they may actually vote, all the owls may vote that this swan is out of its mind and it's weird. This is what is happening with the devotees around the world. People talk about us as, when we say Krishna consciousness, and when we say we eat vegetarian, and when we eat Krishna Prasad, and when we say we chant and we read, and they think, it's weird. What are they talking about? Something weird, something wrong with their brain. And they vote, they vote for us that they are crazy people getting up in the morning and chanting and dancing, and God knows what they are doing. Why can't they understand this is life, this is world, and this is so beautiful? So here, it talks about the Rajasuya Yagya, and now we come to the last verse of Bhishma Stuti. Tami mama hamajam sharira bhajam hridi hridi desh hitam atmakal pitanam pratidrishamivanaikadharkamekam samadhigatosmi vidhuta bheda moha. So now he says, I want to meditate with full concentration on that beautiful form of Lord Shri Krishna, who is present in everybody's heart, and even in the hearts of those mental speculators. And the sun may be perceived differently, but the sun is one, and he is in everybody's heart. Lord is in everybody's heart. So I just want to meditate on him, and I want to leave my body. So saying this, Bhishma just stops breathing, and he leaves his body. And everybody out there, all the sages who are sitting there, they're all silent, because the Vaishnava has left his body, but with such wonderful, wonderful teachings. Personally, Bhishma Stuti is one of my very favorite, because I feel it is so inspiring to remember Krishna at the fag end of our lives. It's not that easy as it seems to, unless and until somebody has really worked very hard, for the whole life, and has made sure that on the walls of their mind there are no other paintings but for Krishna. They have not put, no other photos in their album of their mind but for Krishna. They will not be able to remember Krishna, because there's so many things that's happening with us, so many people that we deal on day-to-day basis. So when we read this stuti, we are inspired that let's close our accounts with everybody. Let's not keep anything pending. If there is anything to be given to anybody, let's give it. Let's close it. Let's forgive. Let's forget. Let's ask for forgiveness if we've done anything wrong. Let's forgive if somebody else has done something wrong to us. Let's keep only good pictures, of nice Vaishnavas and the Supreme Lord in the album of our mind, and keep it clean for Krishna to have place. Otherwise, it will be very difficult at the fag end of life. So many things may come up in our, so many things may just pop up, So we'll have to, work on it from now onwards, and, keep on doing Maha cleaning by, of course, chanting and hearing and chanting and hearing, and taking Vaishnava association and taking Krishna Prasad. And even at the fag end of life, if we can't see Krishna face to face, but we can be sure to see him in the lotus of our heart, if we follow this sadhana process given by Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada, and then we can successfully have successfully pass our final exam, of remembering Krishna at the end of our life when we are leaving this body. So with this, I'll end it here. Thank you so much, dear devotees, for your patience hearing. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Krishna, Krishna, Krishna lage. Sab Krishna, Krishna, Krishna lage. Sab Krishna, Krishna, Krishna lage. Sab Krishna